Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. I am sitting down with one of my favorite people, Bonnie Treichel. One of my young friends, I call her, but have her also because she do all the things in communication and networking, just like the 60-year-old me. Bonnie is a very talented woman. She is the principal of Endeavor Law and Endeavor Retirement. She is very active in the retirement arena, especially pertaining to the law about it. So Bonnie, would you introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about yourself, how long you have owned your company, and any good things you would like to say about yourself?
Alice, thank you so much for having me and for pointing out so appropriately that I am an old soul. Although I do appreciate you called me young, but yes, I am an old soul. So once again, my name is Bonnie Treichel. I am the founder of Endeavor Retirement and Endeavor Law, and I'm so excited to be here today. As Alice mentioned, we have a company called Endeavor Retirement that is a consulting firm primarily for retirement plan advisors. And then we started Endeavor Law as a sister company as really an accommodation for those advisors to help their plan sponsors, or rather employers that offer a retirement plan, to help their employees in saving for retirement. So Endeavor Retirement, the consulting firm for advisors, turns 3 years old actually in February right now. And Endeavor Law is 1 year old as well. So really excited to be here and share more about our journey and others who are in that startup world as well.
As everybody know and follow our conversation about Women's Million Dollar Conversation, we all know that the guests that we invited to this project earn $1 million, make $1 million, or save $1 million. And with Bonnie's traction, we decided we will focus on her revenue of her company or companies. So this is how we're going to go. A 3-year-old or 1-year-old company. How do we do that? So first question, Bonnie, what's the value of money, since this is a money conversation?
Yeah, so when we talk about the value of money and what it means to me, it's an opportunity for me to be able to have the ability to live and to feel safe, but then also to have an opportunity to give generously in my community. So that's something where, growing up, I wanted to be able to have the opportunity to be able to give and to give generously. I originally wanted to go into politics, and then decided that instead of politics, I wanted to go the route of having my own company and being able to, from the private sector perspective, be able to have an opportunity to give back. So for me, the value of money is the opportunity to give generously and to do so on my terms, not someone else's.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that you are advocate for getting to a money or financial freedom stage, because we all know this, by only giving and not putting yourself a little bit first. Don't want to hear about somebody work until they die, which is not you. So thank you for making that statement. The follow-up question is, we are all curious here about that $1 million. It took you 3 years for the retirement company and 1 year for your legal company or the law company. So tell us a little bit about the journey and what are the biases when you're running up to that million, if there is any.
Yeah, so as I think about the biases that you face in running a small business, probably for me, the biggest bias that I run into is my own self. And so I think as a small business owner, one of the things that I face, and I think many other people do, is that I'm going to call it, I'm a solopreneur or an entrepreneur who I own the business 100% owned by myself. And so that leads to I am my best cheerleader and my worst enemy. So you feel the highs really high and the lows really low. And what I mean by that is it can be really lonely being a business owner all by yourself. But I think that's the thing, again, that bias of you can be your own best cheerleader and worst enemy, but that's also where it's that opportunity to really find other small business owners to partner with and to really have that journey together. and to have people, Alice, like you, where you can really find that networking space to find your other people to lift you up and to be on that journey together. But I would say in finding that first million of revenue, I was probably my own worst enemy, my own bias, but also my own best cheerleader.
Can we go a little bit one step deeper? When you say you are your worst enemy, what did you mean? Could you give us a very simple example? I'm sure you have lots of them.
Yeah, it's everything from being too hard on yourself when you put forward the proposal and you don't get it. And you think over and over about if I would have crafted the email that way, if I would have sent the proposal a little bit different, if I would have just lowered my fee a little bit, maybe they would have accepted it. And sometimes what you realize is they weren't the right fit for you in the first place. And you just have to move on and go get those 5 other clients who are the right fit. And so it's really learning not to dwell on the ones that are the missed opportunities that you don't get. So that's probably one example of you feel those lows when you don't get that client that you thought, I had them at the finish line. I was down to the 1-yard line. Why didn't I get this one? But that's just one example. Again, then you also can be your best cheerleader. And when you get that deal and you close the deal, that can feel really great too. So hopefully that helps to further that explanation.
That's exactly what we needed to hear from you. I had the privilege to really sit down with Bonnie, who no longer live in the state of Oregon. Just recently, her visit, I just feel honored that she called me and said, let's have coffee or tea. We end up having tea. At that conversation, I think we went into the things that we have no control over. And the art of letting go of those, because only with that, we have the abundance in our headspace here to welcome the right people who want to connect with us. And some of the right people are our clients, our customers, true, but some of the right people are the people in our pack, in our wolf pack. Who are the people who is holding the best interest of you and willing to say something that is crazily important, but you may not accept.
Alice, you're spot on. It's getting that space and time because you can let go of the things you can't control to be able to sit down with those COIs or the centers of influence, the friend that gives you the push you need to take that different step in your business. Or to your point, the client that sits down and says, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you can't see those, like they're not super apparent, but it's letting go of the things that are saying the no so that you can get to the right yes.
Absolutely. I'm sure that in the last 3 years, you have made a lot of decisions, and some of them are pretty big or high stake decisions. So could you share with us, how do you make decisions when the stakes are high, especially?
Great question. And I think one of the things we'll probably talk a little bit about too is some of the mistakes you make along the way. And I think one of the things I'm learning, which goes to your question, is how do you make decisions? And sometimes I make decisions too fast because I don't want to sit in the discomfort of some of my decisions, right? And so this applies probably both to the business and to personal decisions, but I don't like sitting in discomfort. So I'm willing to push to make a decision too fast, where if I would sit in discomfort a little bit longer, I could make the better decision. And so I think that's something I'm learning along the way is how to be more patient with myself, how to be more patient with others, and sit in the discomfort because it'll help me get to the better answer. I don't have to know the answer immediately, and that can get me to the better answer sometimes.
Follow-up question. How do you help yourself to sit in the discomfort? What did you do?
Great question. Part of it is surrounding myself with others. This goes back to our tea date that we had, right? Where surrounding myself with people, Alice, like you. I work with a business coach, Julie, that I know, and having these conversations with others where it slows down the decision-making process and it forces me to think through it a little bit more. Again, it can be uncomfortable, but if you surround yourself with, in working with advisors, I talk about the partnership wheel, having people in, or we talk about the wolf pack, right? Having people in your partnership wheel, having people in your wolf pack where you can talk through some of these things, not feel so alone, make more thoughtful decisions. It might be uncomfortable, but it gets you the better outcome.
Very special answer. Thank you so much. Now, in the last 3 years, I'm not making assumption, but if there is any time that you felt that this is too much, should I polish my resume? Because I'm so employable, everybody knows me. Why do I need to do this? And what keeps you going and building the business?
Alice, every like third Tuesday, that's the feeling, right? And it goes back to what we talked about, right? This isn't a business that I own with 3 partners. It's really lonely and scary when you have a business by yourself. So actually, when I started the business, I did it exactly what you just described. I said, I have one client, I'm going to start this thing. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just go get a job. And I'll do this for 12 to 18 months. And if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to go get a job. And then 12 months turned into 18, turned into 24, and now we're at 3 years and we added a second business. And along the way, there's all these feelings of, what am I doing this for? I could just go get a job and that would be a lot easier. But I think one of the things that keeps you going is, hey, these other people, every time someone signs a contract, they're investing in me. They're putting their faith in me to help them solve a problem, to help them solve a problem for their employees to be able to save. If they're willing to put their faith in me, I've got to keep putting faith in myself. And I can do that. I just have to keep going and keep believing. And if they're willing to do that, I'm willing to do that too.
Beautiful answer. If they're willing to do that, I'm willing to do that too. And the subconscious mind, or just change the scene a little bit, we both believe there is a bigger being than us. Sometimes quieting our mind and just listen, because sometimes we just got too busy, too noisy. The message is there, but we can't pick it up.
Yeah. And my mom will tell me, just procrastinate a little. It'll get there. The answer will come to you. And it's that just quiet your mind, just wait a moment, just sit in the peace. But it takes practice, as we've talked about, to get there.
Yes, that reinforces your sitting in the discomfort, right? Procrastinate positively. Procrastinate usually is a not so positive term.
But it can be.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now we have a woman audience looking up to you and said, well, this woman is doing great. She is willing to expose vulnerability about gas every day other Tuesday. I'm thinking about what we just talked about. So here she is. She's still up and running and she become bigger and stronger, regardless of the hurdles, regardless of the challenge. What is the one piece of advice you would like to give the female audience or the male audience who say, I want to be her?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces of advice I would give, but it's really invest in yourself and invest in your relationships. And it's that latter piece of invest in your relationships, or at least my relationships. They've really carried me through. And sometimes it feels like even when some relationships that I wanted to carry me through, they failed, by having all these other relationships and partnerships, they'll really carry you through when at times you feel like I have nothing else to give, right? So your wolf pack, your family, your friends, for some people that's children, but by having those relationships, they'll carry you through when you don't feel like you have any strength left.
Beautiful. We're winding down to a couple more questions here. I'm curious about what is one piece of very good advice or a piece of very bad advice has made the biggest impact in your life?
I think one of the things, and I can't remember, Alice, if this was you or someone else who told me to read this book, but it was the book Radical Candor. And I think for me, hard conversations were very stressful. And the concept of having these tough conversations with, call it employees, vendors, etc. It's this concept of really being okay having tough conversations and being really clear in your communication, because it's good for you and it's good for the person on the receiving end. And that has been a really good piece of advice that I've received in personal relationships, professional relationships, with vendors, with employees, and that's been really helpful.
Awesome. Last question. What are you grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful for so many things, but I'm really, again, back to the relationships. I'm grateful for all the relationships that I've built and people, again, who've carried me through when I didn't think I had the strength for that.
Beautiful. So Bonnie here, she's sharing about important things about investing in yourself and investing in the relationship. With that, I think the community will be better and you are better. And when the water rises, all the boats and ships rise. Thank you, Bonnie, for a wonderful conversation. We're grateful for you.
Alice, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.